theory, just a theory. But what about all of the girls who you might be interested in, whose own fathers went bald when they were young? Imagine if you were a little girl, you grew up, your whole life your dad was bald. He was at least north of 5. You grew up and you had a good relationship with him. So imagine you're interested in this girl. Her dad was bald her whole life and she has a positive relationship with him. How do you think she's going to respond to a guy who's bald? Could we admit that certain women are especially more open-minded to bald guys or balding guys because that's what they grew up knowing and seeing, and it was a positive person in their life? Here's what inspired this video. And I mention this about, I don't know, every 8 months. I mention this story because I think it's that relevant. And it helped me. It helped shape me as far as hair loss when I was 21 in college. Because that's when I really started having these like thoughts about it, like what's gonna happen to me kind of thing. I wanna tell you this story. I'm pretty sure I was 21. I was in my early 20s when this story takes place. So there was this girl named Alyssa, and it was just a given that if you saw her, you're like, you stop and you just stare, and then you hope that she doesn't catch you. Like she had that kind of an effect. But on top of that, she was truly genuine, nice, friendly, sincere, just a great person. And it just so happened I ended up working with her. I worked at like this little shop that like sold smoothies, and like it was the hangout place where there's like hockey tables and all this stuff. And sometimes we'd have shifts where we worked together. And so one Friday night, it was me, her, and this other guy. And the other guy mentioned his insecurity that, man, I hope I don't go bald. I really don't want to go bald. I think I see my hairline going up already. And instantly, without hesitation, this is what she said to this guy that I'm working with, just a couple feet from me. She's like, hey, there is no shame in going bald. No shame in going bald. My dad's bald. He's always been bald. But he just dealt with it, and he shaves his hair, and it's fine. It's no big deal. There's no shame in going bald. So this story takes place in the early 2000s. And what might have been a comment that people would have forgotten, I never forgot about it. She taught me that. And I've carried that with me. I've carried it with me that a lot of females, the way they feel about balding is that there's no shame in it. And what does that tell me about her? It tells me she had a positive relationship with her father, which is one of the markers that determines who often ends up in the category of angry, bitter, desperate, and obsessed with hair loss. A lot of the people in that category didn't have a positive relationship with their father in the way that I did. How positive your relationship with your father, that determines who you are more than hair loss. It really does. But it is interesting to think about. It's like, it's easy for us to think about hair loss, but what do girls truly think about? Well, again, if you're in the category of angry, bitter, depressed, desperate, obsessed, all those things, you naturally believe that that girl that I just mentioned is lying. She's lying. That's why I stopped making the interview videos with girls asking what they thought about bald guys. Because the girls would be honest, but yet people in that category would say, they're lying, they're lying. So I realized that some people can never hear that truth, which again helped inspire my motto, whatever you believe about hair loss is true in your own mind. But it is interesting to really think about that. How ridiculous is it to assume that all girls think that balding is so bad that you're not worth dating, that they all think that? Well, can we admit that some girls, at least some, would still date a guy who's balding and just was confident about it and shaved his head or whatever? Could we at least admit some girls were cool with it? I would say it's the girls that, again, had good relationship with their father, saw it as normal, or are just attracted to confident guys to begin with, no matter what they really look like. But if they happen to work out, that doesn't hurt either, right? So it is interesting to think about that. But she taught me that, and I've kept that with me. And you can, I guess let's close on this note. Do you think that's a lie? Do you think that there's no shame in going bald? She believed it, and she convinced me to believe it. And I've been believing that for a long time. What do you think? There's no shame in going bald? I say there's not. And your answer reflects how you feel about yourself. I wonder if you could ever change the way that you think, though.